Okay,
Sure.
ready.
All right, welcome to Tuesday night in Lifewave Live. So we got Dr. Stacy here to tell us how all this stuff works. We do have a mix of people that have been using patches and some that are excited to hear about it. So including one chiropractor. I believe we've got a pharmacist on as well somewhere. So yeah, just a total mix of people. So looking forward to hearing the maybe the dumbed down version for people like me, but then also the good medical stuff that you would have that I don't for those that are more advanced on the call. So thank you, Stacy.
You got it, Mark. I'm happy to help in any way, of course. So I'll share with you guys the science and technology of how this patch works. And then I definitely want to be able to answer your questions. This is your hour to do that. And so you can type them in the chat. I will have the chat open so I can see that. And I will also be able to go back through your questions after as well too. I'm only going to share maybe 10, 15 minutes tops at the most, just kind of cover the basics. And then you guys can ask whatever questions you have from there. But I suggest you grab a piece of paper and a pen if you don't have one already, because sometimes there's things, you hear them and you missed them the first time or second time or third time or 10th time. I know I listen to David all the time. So if you have questions, you can, of course, unmute yourself here in just a minute as well, too. So you don't have to type it if you don't want to. But just so you know, you have two options. So basically, I will share with you guys, just so you know, I am a doctor of integrative medicine. And what that means is I have my PhD in integrative medicine. So I do not have a medical degree. And of course, anything that I share on here is not intended to diagnose or to treat or to cure you guys, right? You have your own physicians, your own healthcare practitioners or doctors. And so I'm not giving you any medical advice, but I will share with you information about this technology, how this works based on clinical studies, and also based on looking at the systems and organs and tissues and cells in the body. So I will not be talking specifically on diseases or disorders, right? Because again, we're not treating or curing anything. And so I'll share with you how this can impact your body through the different systems with this technology. Okay, so basically, this is what it looks like. Like a little round band-aid. It's kind of crazy if you really want to be honest, right? How is this going to do anything to my body besides just cover up maybe a cut or something? So this technology is a non-transdermal patch. And non-transdermal means nothing is transferring into the body. So you're very familiar with a transdermal patch, like a pain patch or a nicotine patch or birth control or hormone patch. Those things, when you apply them to the skin, they transfer a chemical or a substance into the body. That's why they're transdermal. And so this is different. This is actually called photobiomodulation or phototherapy, light therapy. And so the way this works, being non-transdermal, it's not transferring anything into the body. This patch works with your body's light or heat. It's getting to be dark out here very soon in the East Coast and Sarasota, Florida. I don't know where you are, but here in the next hour, it's going to be dark. And so if I were to go outside, I can't see my neighbor, or I live out in the country, so I won't be able to see the cows or the horses unless I have night vision goggles. And you know that night vision goggles, you can see the animal or the person because of the colors, right? The yellow, the red, the green, the blue, whatever color their body, their heat is emitting. And so that light or heat is what we are working with here in this technology. So when you apply this patch to your skin, our body's light reflects back a signal from this patch. And that signal is going to increase your body's own stem cell production. Now, how does this happen? How is this even possible? Well, if you look at this patch, see that white part? Embedded in that is a crystal lattice structure, okay? So again, not a substance or a chemical, but a structure. So put this simply, this is our body's light communicating with the light that's in this patch. It's a biophotonic exchange of information. So this lattice structure is made up of organic amino acids, salts, sugars, oxygen, water. Each patch has a different lattice structure, okay? And so when we apply it, we actually are going to put it on the back of our neck on CV7 or below the belly button in the morning when we get up. We're going to leave this patch on 12 hours. During that time, it is activating and elevating and mobilizing your stem cells. Those stem cells, because they're yours, are going to go to work to repair and regenerate and rejuvenate whatever your body needs and in the order that it needs. So I want you to think about when you cut your finger or if you break your bone, it's not the Band-Aid or the cast that's repairing the body, is it? It's your body. Your body has its own innate ability to know how to heal itself. It's always seeking homeostasis. And we know that when we're young, we have an abundance of stem cells. Stem cells are the holy grail of healing, right? We look at kids, 5-year-olds don't have gray hair, 10-year-olds don't have back pain, and 15-year-olds don't have heart disease, right? Their bodies are always working to repair and regenerate, and they've got plenty of stem cells, and they're young and youthful. Think about if Tommy is riding his bike and he falls off and breaks his arm, he gets back up and he's going again the next day. If grandma falls out of bed, she's not getting back up, right? She is not repairing as fast as Tommy is. It's just part of aging. We know when we're young, we have an abundance of cells, stem cells. When we're old, by the time we're in our 30s, which is not old, by the way, but when we get older into our 30s, we're making about half the stem cells. And then by the time in your ripe young age of 60, you have less than 10% in your bloodstream. And so what that means is your body's ability to regenerate and repair is declining, it's diminished. And so this technology signals your body to not only activate and elevate and mobilize your own stem cells, but it actually resets a third of the genome to their perfect expression. Resets, upregulates your genes. And we know each gene expresses to one or two other genes. And so we can see from clinical studies that have been done with people that compound effect of using this technology day after day, week after week, month after month, even year after year. I'm going to interview a man Thursday night he's in his early 70s, he's been using this for 22 months. 22 months he's been applying this patch to the back of his neck every day. And over that 22 months, it's alleviated all of his back pain, his knee pain, his ankle pain, all of his sleep issues, all of his mental clarity and focus issues, and all of his health conditions that he had have disappeared. But he still had this skin cancer all over his skin, these white, scaly, scabby patches all over his entire body, until just here in the last couple of weeks. And they slowly were diminishing. When I saw him back in May, he's like, look, I only have a few left. Now here he is at 22 months, a few months later, and they're all gone. His dermatologist said there's not a single spot on your entire body. And he had been covered. He was a mailman for like 40 years. And so he's always out in the sun, right? And he had been covered with skin cancer. 22 months later, it's gone. You'll hear from him Thursday night. So your body has its own ability to know how to repair itself. And it also knows what order to do that. You may say, well, I want my knee pain gone. Well, we can do a couple other things to help you eliminate your knee pain immediately, but it's going to take a little bit of time to repair and regenerate that knee, right? That area, whatever's going on inside of there. And so know that this is not a quick fix. This is not put this patch on and I'm beautiful in 30 days and I'm ready to go. We know because of science and technology and because of the clinical studies, we have over 90 done with people, double-blind, placebo, independent labs, and researchers across the globe, places you've probably heard of like Harvard and Oxford and Stanford, where we've had some of our studies done. And so we see the effectiveness improving the functionality of the cells and tissues and organs in the body and literally stopping that aging process and reversing the functionality of your body, your cells, and your tissues. So what does that mean for you? Does it mean that you're going to have results? Oh, you'll have results. I don't know what you're going to experience first. Will you experience pain reduction or maybe a deeper sleep? Will you have more mental clarity, energy, focus? Will you be like Rosemary, who's walking up and down the conference center and no longer on a walker? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen for you or what order, but I do know that it's going to improve the quality of your life. because it is 0 side effects. We are non-invasive. Remember, non-transdermal, nothing is transferring into the body. And so if you're taking supplements or medications, if you're doing any types of therapies, there are no contraindications to anything that you're using because nothing's going in. So we don't have to worry about any interactions. In my functional med program that I'm doing right now for my PhD in that, I just finished a class on drug, vitamin, herb, food interaction. There's a lot of contraindications out there to things. And so you have to be super careful, right? And being in holistic health for 20 years, I've seen that with people, of different supplements and different herbs and things. Not everybody can do that based on what medications they're on. But the beautiful thing about this technology is there's no side effects and there's no contraindications. Except, I want to say this, is there anybody on here that has an organ in their body that is not theirs? Like a heart or a lung or a kidney? Anybody have another donor organ in your body? Nope. Okay, then you're good. If you're on immunosuppressants, you have someone else's organ, you don't want to use the stem cell activation patch, right? That makes sense. Your body is going to try to attack that. And then is there anybody in here that is going through cancer treatment, currently on chemotherapy, high doses, chemo or radiation? Okay, if you are, or if you know someone that is, then they would not use this patch on the day that they are taking chemo or radiation. Now, I will say this, I do have people that are on low doses of a pill, and they have been for years, unfortunately. And it's still okay to use the technology every day if you're on that little low dose. I'm talking about if you're in the hospital and you're, IV administered serious chemotherapy, then you're not going to be patching on the days that you're receiving chemo because chemo's killing everything. You'll be patching on the days that you're not receiving chemo. So that's really our only 2 little caveats, is a foreign organ in your body or taking chemo or radiation that day. Otherwise, you are safe to use this. Of course, go ask your medical provider, take them the information, please. Let them see that this technology exists, and just, educate them, share the information with them, but let them know that this is not new. David Schmidt, who is the inventor of this technology, started this company called Lifewave 20 years ago with a patch called Energy Enhancer. He was actually working with the Navy SEALs in the U.S. Department of Defense. He has been an inventor his entire life. He's 58, probably almost 59 years old. And he has been inventing since he was tiny, all kinds of little things, right? Picture a little lab rat running around, inventing things, right? With his microscope and everything. And so he started working for the SEALs 20 years ago to help them with the oxygenation of the SEALs on their missions on the subs. And they asked him to invent something to improve the sustainability, endurance, and stamina of the SEALs in the field. And they were using, of course, way too much caffeine, amphetamines, and uppers, and were not having the best quality of life. And he was given by God the information to create a non-transdermal patch that turned body fat into fuel. So if you hear David, that's exactly what he says, downloaded by the divine, by God, to create this non-transdermal patch that turned body fat into fuel. And it was going fantastic. Everything was amazing. The SEALs were super happy. And then, of course, 9/11 happened, right? And the U.S. Department of Defense took a very different turn to produce more arms and protect the country. And David thought, this would really help a lot of people out. Energy drinks had started to be the new craze, and this could really help people have endurance and energy and stamina without all that extra toxic stuff in their bodies. And he also had ideas for other patches to help people have a better quality of life, because he figured out how to signal with different peptides in the body with this technology. And so from there, it went to the USA Olympic team and the Stanford swim team. And so those two got a hold of this, and he was working very closely with the coaches using, and still to this day, the last year, the USA swim team, the hopefuls, were using this technology. You could see it on them on the, the trials and stuff like that. So it's used throughout the entire sports arena, of course. But over the 20 years, David has invented a dozen patches. So I just want you to understand that this is not new. This is backed by science. This is backed by research. This is data, facts, with people, okay? But yet rooted in nature, rooted in practices that are ancient, right? And so traditional Chinese medicine, which is 6,000 years old, our clinical studies have been done on acupuncture points, using these patches on those points to do different things in the body with different systems and organs to help bring the body into homeostasis, okay? But it took David 10 years in the lab to figure out how to signal the stem cells in the body, to increase your stem cells, to upregulate a third of your genome. And he figured out how to do that through the pathway of a peptide called GHK-Cu copper peptide. And so after 10 years, this was released, which was just 3 years ago. We do have a 20-year patent on this technology. All of our patches are patent, but we have a 20-year patent on X39 stem cell activation patch, and we are in year 2 of that patent. So know that what we're going to share with you and the questions you're going to ask and the things that I'm going to share is going to be scientific based. Like I said, I'm going to share clinical studies, data, research. I'm not going to quote specific studies, but I'm definitely going to share with you how to help get the body into balance with the systems and the organs using one patch or multiple patches. Okay, you can use more than one patch at a time. Right now, I have on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 patches on right now, and I've had them on all day. So they'll come off tonight, and then I'll put another patch on before bed. So you can use one patch a day on the back of your neck or below your belly button, leave it on 12 hours, take it off and throw it away, or you can use multiple patches. And I'll share with you, obviously, through the course of this, why it might be beneficial to be able to help you use multiple patches. So the first thing I do want to share before I open it up for questions, just so you know, because this is going to be like my starting point for everything, anything and everything that's going on with you physically. The root cause of disease in the physical body is inflammation. We know that, right? And so reducing inflammation is very important. This patch signals a peptide in the liver to upregulate your SOD and downregulate the inflammatory markers like fibrinogen and the cytokines and lipids and homocysteines and C-reactive proteins, things like that. And so this patch, not to mention it's what we call our happy patch, it puts your body in a parasympathetic state, calm, rest, relax, digest. But it is a patch that reduces inflammation systemically. And so when you can reduce inflammation in your body, the same time you're increasing your stem cell production, you set the body up for a very rapid, dramatic repair, restoration, regeneration process. And I don't mean rapid like, woof, overnight. I mean, if you're not using these 2 patches together, I want you to picture something. Okay, so stem cell injections. Right? You go and you spend, $20,000, $30,000 for stem cell injections, and they inject the stem cells right into your shoulder, right? You have rotator cuff issues. They inject it right in here. Well, this area has a lot of inflammation. That's why it hurts, right? That's why you have lack of mobility, range of motion. And so when you inject stem cells, or if you start using a stem cell activation patch, those stem cells are going to go to this area first because it's like a moth to a flame. Well, if we can address the inflammation at the same time, then the inflammation is not going to consume the majority of those stem cells. We know that's a fact. You inject stem cells in, say donor cells, the body's inflammation comes in and consumes the majority of those stem cells. It's just what happens in the body. So these 2 are very important. When you talk to me, you're going to ask me about a lot of different, what about diabetes, or what about fibromyalgia, or you're going to ask me about diseases because that's what everybody does, right? So I'm going to tell you, we've got to address the core things in the body. Number 1, reducing your inflammation, and number 2, increasing your stem cell production, right? No matter what your age is. I have people from 2 to 102 that are using the patches, and I always start with this. Now, of course, we don't have clinical studies on children. So if you're wondering about children, we do not have studies, so I can't share any information about kids. But of course, we have moms that are patching their children. I'm a mom that patches my children. They were the first 2 people I put the patches on before I even put it on myself or my husband. So you can use these on children if you choose. The way I look at it is it's kind of like going through McDonald's drive-thru. It is a parent's choice. That's super toxic and not going to be beneficial for them long run. There is nothing harmful happening with the body, so it's a personal choice, of course. So with that being said, I want to make sure that you have plenty of time for all your questions. So if you want to type them, or if you want to unmute yourself, I would love to answer your questions.
So actually, Stacy, you answered our first question that we had tonight that I hadn't really thought much about, was the low dose chemo pills.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a person that's very interested in starting and trying to work through that. So that was nice to hear. So that's exactly what she's on. And it sounds like it'd be fine.
Someone is wondering about cadaver bone. So are they on high dose immunosuppressant drugs? If they are on immunosuppressant drugs, then no, because I've been asked about bovine and pig parts, valves, and skin grafts, and was assured that as long as they are not on immunosuppressants, then you are perfectly fine to use this technology. But of course, check with the physician as well too, okay? But that's a great question. What other questions do you guys have?
I had another person asking, she's got some challenges with her hip. I think it was hip. And the question was, well, once I'm healed, once it heals my hip, do I have to keep using them? And I shared with her, no. However, to continue having a quality of life would be a good idea. Is that a correct answer, Stacy?
Yeah, that's a great answer, because when we're using this technology, the stem cells, your stem cells, are repairing, regenerating, rejuvenating whatever's needed in your body. And so when we look at, say, for example, the heart, we see regeneration and improvement in the functionality of the entire vascular system. And people always ask, well, if my heart's repaired and I stop using the patch, is it just going to go back to where it was before? So we have to really understand, what does it mean to regenerate something, to grow something, right? To grow tissues, to grow cells, to make new again. So it doesn't 6 months later, oh my gosh, the functionality of my heart, my ejection fraction went from literally, I had a guy in his 40s, went to 79 in that time frame. That's crazy, like an ultra athlete, and the man's in his late 70s. Like, how does that happen? His heart repaired itself. His vascular system repaired itself. So if you stop patching, it doesn't just poof, go back to where it was before. The aging process takes place in the body on a daily basis. Degeneration takes place slowly over time, right? You didn't wake up one morning and your hip just went, it's all gone. It was happening. If you're bone on bone, that was happening over time, right? And so repair happens over time. And that's why we talk about that 1 month for every 10 years you are old. That's how long you're going to use the patches, or until you want to start aging again. Remember, I said it stops the aging process and it reverses the functionality of the cells and tissues and organs in the body. And so, like for myself personally, David, he always talks about every 6 months is about 8 years younger. And so I'm like, okay, at 6 months, I go to my naturopathic doctor. I'm like, do all my biomarkers. 7 pages later, she comes back to me. I sit down in the office and she goes, okay, well, I can tell you're 30 years old. And obviously you're nowhere near menopause. Everything looks fantastic. And I said, that's great. I'm 47. I'm not 30 years old. And so she said, but your biomarkers tell me you're 30 and you don't look anywhere near 47, but everything tells me that you are 30 years old, looking at these 7 pages of blood work. And so knowing that, for me personally, looking at longevity and vitality and prevention. So this is the price of a cup of coffee a day. And the way I look at it is, I've had a lot of tools in my toolbox over the years. 20 years in holistic health, I have a big toolbox. And there's lots of things that I go to, right? So if something hurts, we're not going to go get an Advil or a Percocet or whatever, right? We're going to use an essential oil, okay? We're going to use maybe a tincture or something like that, an herb. But over these years, I have never found anything to be as effective or affordable as this. But yet something that I knew no matter what, it would be in my toolbox and I would use forever, because I want to have the best quality of life. And I can see what's happening with people, what's been happening with people, the compound effect, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year of stress, of injuries, of accidents, of surgeries, of diet, of lifestyle. Those things happen over time. And so if you can, that time's going on no matter what. Are you reversing and repairing and regenerating and restoring your body? Or are you continuing to age and degenerate, right? Is your body continuing to go down that path of aging and, you know, basically just a lower quality of life? I know it was Dr. Stan. He's like, I want to go out with my boots on, not with a diaper on. And so, you know, that's what we want to do, right? We want to have the best quality of life and enjoy the life that we have here. So it's totally up to you as long as you use this technology. But to me, the way I look at it is, you know, Kathryn and I were talking about this at lunch at conference a couple of weeks ago. You know, the food choices that we make, eating healthy, that's a choice. It's not a thing like I do for a diet, for a quick fix. It's a lifestyle choice for my longevity, the exercise. Mark and I were talking about running this morning on Facebook, right? That is a choice for longevity. We know people that exercise live longer than those that don't. It's what I call a non-negotiable, right? Sleep, getting a good 6-7 hours, whichever works for you, 8, I don't know, but deep quality REM sleep is a non-negotiable. Like when I'm going to bed, that's it, it's done, I'm going to sleep out, right? And so those things are non-negotiables. Breath work, meditation, prayer, whatever, all of the above, that's a non-negotiable. That's something that's going to happen every single day. I'm not going to go a day without that. And so I look at this, and when I found this technology, of course, I've been researching stem cells for 20 years and banked both my kids' cord blood and did over 10 years of traditional types of stem cell therapy in and out of the country with my daughter. But this was something I thought I and my husband both can afford this for the rest of our lives. It's paying $25,000, $30,000 twice a year per person out of country for stem cells. It's not in our budget right now, right? And so this is definitely a non-negotiable. So a couple questions. Another person's wondering if you can reverse a patch the next day, and if not, why not? Oh, reuse. No, absolutely not. So the patch is, again, we have clinical studies. This patch is to be worn 12 hours. After that, you take it off and you throw it away. The crystal lattice structure that is embedded in this patch starts to dissipate around that 12 to 14 hour mark. If you use it the next day, you are not getting benefits. It is not something that's going to do what it did on day one. It just doesn't work that way. This is not a transdermal patch that you leave on for an extended period of time. You have to give your body that break. It's like a light. If you leave this light on 24/7, it's going to burn out, right? And so we're going to leave the patch on 12 hours, take it off, throw it away, or put it in your pet bed, put it on your pet, put it on their collar, whatever. That's perfectly fine. They can get a little bit of maybe an hour or two juice out of it, you know, but you're not going to wear it again the next day. It doesn't work that way. And so you won't have results, right? We want you to have the best results. So we follow instructions. Kind of like if you went to your doctor and he said, okay, you're going to use this antibiotic for the next 10 days. You're going to take it 3 days a week or 3 times a day, you know, for 10 days. And you're not going to drink alcohol, and, you know, you're not going to go in the sun, or you're going to do that, right? You're going to follow the instructions, because otherwise it's not going to work, and the infection is going to come back and you're going to be in serious trouble. Well, obviously this is not going to cause an infection, but it's not going to be effective. So we want you to follow instructions. Will the Eon help to purge the liver of COVID issues? 1 year, no smell, no taste. Okay, her taste is off. So specifically 2 things. I was talking to my sister-in-law about this, and so I want to pull this up for you real quickly. The let me find it real quick. This was spoke about at conference. I have 2 slides, so I want to talk to you about that. And then I listened to David's glutathione again in the car the other day, and he mentions this as well too. So I want to get that for you too. Let me just pull that up real quick. So I can tell you the supplements. That was my sister-in-law, because her husband has been without, and he would not use the patches the last 15 months. And so now he's 15 months, 16 months without any taste whatsoever. And he's finally going to give in and use the patches. Bless his soul. It's all good. Timing's everything, right? All right. So David said liver, like actually eating liver, actually eating liver. And he talks about there's an enzyme, cytochrome P450. It's responsible for detoxification of endogenous compounds, pharmaceuticals, and environmental xenobiotics. And then it's, of course, a rich source of B12, vitamin A, B12, B2, folate. I'll send this all to you, Kathryn. And then a potent muscle builder, of course, too. But then the other one is COVID recovery. So liver supplement like desiccated liver, chlorophyll twice a day, vitamin C, NAC, and R-lipoic acid. So I'm going to forward all of this to Kathryn and she can forward it to you. But patch wise, I would absolutely use the X39, the Eon, the glutathione, and carnosine. And I would also look at the energy enhancer. And the reason why, I gotta spell your name right. Here we go. There you are. Okay, I'm done. I just want to do it while I'm doing, because I've got another Zoom after this and I don't want to forget. The reason why is energy enhancer also turns over your lymphatic system. And so it's really important that you are flushing things out and your lymphatic system is responsible for that. So we need to make sure we're moving the toxins. Most people that are post-COVID are pretty fatigued. And so exercise is not top on their list of things to do to get that lymphatic system moving. And it's very important, really, for anybody. It's important to get your lymphatic system moving. So I would use those patches. And this is not published because it can't be. But David has done a lot of studies on COVID and the vaccine, and people that have received the vaccine and people that have went through COVID and long haulers and whatnot. He's done a lot of studies with a Dr. Brian Daly. He's an MD, world renowned, and a million things. You can Google him. But I actually got to see one of the studies last year. He and Dr. Daly did a Zoom together an hour, and it was private. No one could record it, pictures, none of that. But really, it went in depth in what you were using microscopy, light field and dark field, to look at the blood after they had been vaccinated, several different vaccines, different companies, and Dr. Daly had been vaccinated and he was very concerned about his blood. And so he and David partnered and they did these studies. And so they recommended X39 and Eon and glutathione. First three, absolutely not an option to use those. And then of course, vitamin D, vitamin C, and then came back in with the carnosine and energy enhancer as well too. So that's where that came from, that information, David Schmidt and Dr. Daly. So do you guys have any other questions? You can unmute yourself.
Stacey, there was a question that I think you might have missed, and maybe you covered it, but the person said, I've read that the increased copper is not good. Can the patch cause your body to increase copper levels too much?
Sorry, yeah, that one got scrolled up. So this increases GHKCU, which is copper peptide. Okay, so it's not increasing your copper. It's really good actually to have, good sources of food nutrition that have copper in them, but it is not increasing your copper. It's increasing a copper peptide. There's a website I'm going to put in the page. It's Dr. Lauren Picard. It's over 50 years of clinical studies he's done on the benefits of GHKCU, and it's called Reverse Aging with GHK.com. And so David has obviously done a lot of work with Dr. Picard and studying him over the years. So the studies can't be published because he wants his life to be saved. Let's just be honest. I mean, you go and start publishing studies that show that every single participant in the studies had massive adverse effects from these types of treatments that were done. And you could get in big trouble, right? You can't make these claims, of course, but you can see it. You can see it in the studies. You can see it in all of their blood. He showed all the slides, all the screens, time lapsed, where it should be completely out of the system. And yet the blood is still damaged significantly. Red blood cells, white blood cells, fibrinogen clumping together. It's not healthy blood. And you can see that through microscopy. So it's not something that he chooses to publish just because it's, you're getting into a big controversial area, which I'm not going to get into. If you vaccinated, fantastic. If you didn't, fantastic. Everybody has their own choices and decisions. Again, just like we choose to go through McDonald's or not, it's totally up to you. McDonald's is getting the brunt of my issues tonight, but you guys get my point, right? Not the healthiest choices. So you guys make your own choices, whatever works best for you. That's why it's
Well,
not
the studies of the patches are published. The studies of what we just talked
yeah.
about are not. Just FYI,
Yes.
make sure everybody understands. Just okay.
Yeah. No, the studies are on, I'll type this in here too, startx39.com. So you'll see all 90 clinical studies on that link. You'll see all of the patents as well, plus videos from David and other doctors and practitioners that are on that link. But the study specifically on COVID, I thought you were referring to COVID because I had just talked about that in the vaccine. Those are not published, but the other ones are. Yeah. What other questions do you guys have?
Stacy,
What if you have a kidney removed?
You're fine if you've had a kidney removed. Yeah, I actually interviewed a man earlier this year that had been on dialysis for 41 years. He was on dialysis since he was 16 years old. 41 years. And after 6 weeks, he started urinating. Bob, that I'm going to interview on Thursday, had the same problem. He had to take medication for his entire life or he would not urinate, and he doesn't have to take that anymore. But if you're missing a kidney, you're fine. It has nothing to do with if you're missing a kidney. It's just if you have someone else's kidney in your body and you're on immunosuppressants.
Well, the other thing is I know of a friend that is close to having to be on dialysis, and they've just started on the patches because I don't want that to happen to her, to be able to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. Stem cells, your body's stem cells, your body's own ability to know how to repair itself. It's huge. Anything can happen that can benefit you, your body when your body comes back into homeostasis.
Stacy, I understand that there's no interaction with medications and it's not a transdermal, there's no medicine, so you're not going to have side effects. I get that. But my question is, the Eon, I believe it is, does some detoxification. Is that correct? It's the Eon that does. I know it's not the big one. Which is it?
Eon reduces inflammation.
Right. I thought there was. Does the X39 do any detoxification, or I just have that totally messed up in my head?
So sometimes people do experience a little detox, and I'll share this with you. This past weekend, I did an event 4 days in Amelia Island with Greg Braden, and we had a table there. And so we patched people that came in every morning, and I told them, half your body weight in ounces in water every day, all day, no matter what. And I had probably about a handful of people that would come back to me and say, hey, I had a headache, or, oh my gosh, I didn't feel that great. I felt tired or sluggish. I said, well, did you get your water in? No, I haven't had any water. They don't sell any water here. I didn't want to get the water from the cup thing over there. I've only had coffee. I'm like, okay, that's normal. So you're going to go right now and go buy some water. You can't go without water, period. And so detox wise, I don't even want to call that a detox symptom, but if you're not drinking the water, you may have a little bit of a headache or not feel super energetic, right? But this is not a detox like put you on the couch. I can't get up. I feel horrible. I can't get off the bathroom, right? Even our glutathione. A glutathione is the master antioxidant, detoxer, immune booster. But again, I mean, I've done every detox under the sun. I've been detoxing since I was 18 years old. It's kind of like your car, right? You're not going to go without changing your oil every, depends on the age of your car, 3,000 or 10,000 miles. Right? You're not going to go that long without changing the oil in your car. Why would you go that long without detoxing the sludge out of your body, right? And so it's not a detox like that that's going to put you down. It's a daily detox, eliminate, boost your immune system, right? Big antioxidant, master antioxidant. So detoxing is not I mean, there's a lot to detoxing. It can be crazy what people do in detoxification. But no, I would not say that it's common for people to be have detox symptoms where it's unbearable or they feel horrible. That's not common. If, like I said, if someone says, oh my gosh, I had a little bit of a headache or it's too much up here, I'm like, well, put it below your belly button and get in the water that I told you to drink. It's kind of like if your doctor said you're taking an antibiotic 3 times a day and you're going to do this and this, you're going to do this. And so these are the instructions. You're an adult, follow the rules. I gotta joke around, but I'm joking around, but I'm being serious. Like, we're adults. Do what I said, right? And if you want best results, you're gonna feel amazing. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Constance Carter. This is a lot of information for me. There was a question asked earlier about the chemotherapy,
Mhm.
basically in pill form, and I'm the one that's taking that.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be someone that I could talk to? Because this is a lot of scientific information that really wasn't my bailiwick in school. Is there someone that I could talk to more in depth that would look at what I'm on and let me know if this is something that would be good for me or work for me, particularly the one that works on inflammation? And I know Kathryn. Hi, Kathryn. I don't know if she'd be the person or who, but
No, she's like,
is that
no.
possible?
So the person would be your physician who prescribed that chemotherapy. Do you go to that person
Okay.
still? Do you see that
Okay,
doctor?
so would I take, yeah, I do.
Okay.
So that's the oncologist. So would I
Yes.
take this patch to the oncologist?
So Kathryn can send you the information to be able to
Okay.
take with you to them to show them. There's not a person in this company that would talk to you about a chemotherapy medication that you're taking to say, yes, you're good to go, because that's obviously something that you're being followed very closely by a doctor that specializes in that. And so you would take this technology, this information to your
Mhm.
doctor, just as you would a supplement or any detox program or any type of herb or anything you would be doing. You would consult with your physician first with that information. So
Okay.
I don't want to be the one to say, oh, you're good to go. I can tell you from personal clients and people that I work with, and Mark, you and Kathryn know Jerry very well. Jerry has been on a low dose of chemotherapy for CML, and by using this technology by his choice, and of course, you know, he goes to his oncologist, he's been able to reduce the amount of chemotherapy he's using and actually spread out the time span before he has to use more of it. So, but that's only, you know, someone's personal experience. I would never say that's going to be the exact same thing for you. So check with your physician.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions do you guys have on here?
I have another question from somebody. They are wondering why you need to drink the water. And then there was a follow-up to that question, which is if somebody has CHF and they're inactive and they have active CHF, meaning they need their diuretics, is that contraindicated then? Because sometimes they're on fluid restriction.
Okay, so check with your physician, right? Of course. So the way this product works, we are light, our cells emit light. We are also water, right? We're over 75, maybe 80% sometimes water, depending if you're a man or a woman and the age of yourself. We know we're more dehydrated as we age, but our cells need water for the conductivity with this technology. We need water, period. Most people in this world would be so much healthier if they would just drink the water. That's just a fact. We need water, half your body weight in ounces every day. If you don't like the flavor of plain water, then soak it in pineapple or strawberry or mint or cucumber. Soak it in blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. I don't know, but soak it in a fruit or a vegetable, cucumber, something like that, that you can like the taste of, lemons, limes, whatever, to be able to drink that water. So if you weigh 200, you're going to drink 100 ounces a day. If you weigh 150, then you're going to drink 75 ounces a day. But keep in mind if you are older, your cells are more dehydrated. They need more water, right? They're going to need a little bit more. How many of you drink coffee? That dehydrates you. Tea, that dehydrates you. How about a glass of wine or a cocktail from time to time or nightly? My grandfather used to have a highball every night after dinner. That dehydrates you, okay? Alcohol, coffee, tea, sodas are very dehydrating. And so you need to look at that in your consumption of liquids. Coffee is not water just because there's water in it. So make sure that you drink half your body weight in ounces every single day. But they need to check with their physician on their specific. I'm not going to answer for their specific situation, what's going on, because there's no way I can do that. But that's the water has to happen. Again, if you don't have the water, you're probably not going to feel so great because your body's screaming, right? It's screaming for hydration. A lot of times too, we think we're hungry and we're not hungry. We're just thirsty. Our body's dehydrated. And so drinking that water helps out in so many ways. Somebody said, do you find that a lot of medical doctors dismiss the patch and advise against it because it's unconventional? I don't actually. In my 15 months of using this technology, I found most people's medical doctors say, well, I don't really know anything about that. Or, I mean, I know what stem cells are. Looks fine to me. I've had a lot of oncologist clients with, going through cancer treatment. They're like, yeah, sure. Can't hurt you. There's nothing going in your body, so you're fine. Don't really understand what it is, but no big deal. And I've also had, this is the interesting thing, I've had a lot of eye doctors and a lot of ear doctors. When people go back and get their hearing checked and their eyes checked for their 1-year checkup, and dentist for their 1 year or 6 month, hopefully you're going every 6 months to get your teeth cleaned, but go for your checkups. They are blown away by what's happened to their patient in that year's time of using this technology. I can't tell you, you guys know Gary and Barb both have had to reduce their prescription, right? I went from like a 2 something down to a 1.25 on my readers. I mean, literally, eyes are improving, vision is improving, hearing is improving, teeth, pockets are improving. I had a girl tell me that her dentist was blown away by the enamel on her teeth, how that had changed in just 3 months. She goes every 3 months to get her teeth cleaned. So those doctors are like, whatever you're using, I need it. Because no one's eyes get better at age 75. They don't get better from year to year, they get worse. So I need whatever you have. And they're literally like buying it instantly because of what they're seeing in their patients. So I don't think that they're all negative. And I think people are open more so today. I think they know what they know. They're trained in what they're trained in, which is fantastic. Just like I'm trained in what I'm trained in. And so, if you're a person that, cares about your client, your patient, you want to do whatever you can to help them, and you're open to that. Like, for example, Alicia, 7 years of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, 7 years, 6 months, every 6 months, full body CT scan, every 3 months, full microscopy with her blood, full blood work every 3 months for 7 years, chemotherapy, not chemotherapy, nutrition, everything, all the on, the off, all the holistic, all the stuff. Nothing changed what he would say to her every single, we'll just watch and wait, watch and wait, watch and wait. 45 days using this technology. He said, I don't know what you're doing. I don't want you to tell me what you're doing, but I also don't want to see you for a year. She went back a couple of weeks ago for her 1 year checkup. And he said, again, I don't know what you're doing. I don't want to know what you're doing. I'm not going to say the R word, but I don't see anything and I don't want to see you for a year. How'd that happen? I don't know. He didn't know, but he just knows that something's changed on that CT scan and that blood work. And he's not going to comment on it. And he's not going to say the R word, but after 7 years, right? That's what I'm talking about. Just improving the quality of someone's life and lengthening their life, right? Longevity and vitality. We're only here for a short period of time. And this technology's hands down light years ahead of the game, but yet rooted in science and nature and God, right? Creation, helping people have the best quality of life. So is the patch activated by heat? And can it act as a stimulant to the nervous system if you wear it and work out? Okay, so our body emits light, and 98.6 is the degrees, right? And yes, sometimes, of course, obviously we heat up when we're exercising, or, you know, if we're in the sauna or in the sun, working outside, right? Or just going outside to let the dog out. It's so hot right here in Florida right now. But it's activated by your body's light. So it's not going to be a stimulant to mess up your nervous system at all if you wear it and work out. If anything, it's actually going to enhance your workouts, which is going to be fantastic, and not in a way that is like caffeine that jacks you through the roof, but actually in a way that helps your body to perform and function better. We have a combo X39, X49 that X49 was just released back in January. And this combination right here, this actually signals a daughter peptide, AHKCU, to the GHKCU. And so David created this for people in their, 50s and beyond, and athletes, young, of course, but especially when I tell you this, people that are in their 50s and above, because this helps to build lean muscle mass and build bone density and reduce body fat. And again, he's about longevity. The people that have the most muscle mass and the least amount of body fat and the highest bone density live the longest. It's just a fact. And so using these two help increase your performance. My 17-year-old, these patches, instantly, he started using these when David released this. We actually pre-launched it back in November, and I sent him the slides on the grip strength and the bicep curls and the push-ups and the squats and the sit-ups and the endurance. And he's a basketball player, and he's like, I need them instantly. These are mine. And his gains were huge in just 30 days, and he still uses them. So, and like I said, he's almost 18 years old. Why would he be using these patches? He has plenty of stem cells. It's all about fitness and endurance and strength and stamina and longevity, right? And prevention. He's never going to age a day in his life. So it's not a stimulant. Green tea it does have a little bit of caffeine in it, unless it's specifically decaffeinated. And so does it count as water? No. But it can definitely, hydrate you. You just have to be careful of, depending on the amount of caffeine, again, maybe just have a little bit extra water, but you can drink green tea. I love green tea. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you lower that real quick? We're in the same room on two different Zooms because I just got home. I'm sorry. I'll turn my camera on real quick too.
Okay.
So it's working with our body's light, right? But what if we're outside, like we're out and fishing, or are those days that we want to, use a patch as well? If we're going to be out on the boat or out at the beach, or is too much sunlight going to react with our sunlight, or
Yeah,
not our
that's a
sunlight, but
great
our body's
question.
own emitted light?
Yeah, that's a great question. So over the course of my 15 months using this technology, the only patch that I had was the energy enhancer. Now, this is just me personally, not anybody else that I know, and not any other patch, but I had put the energy enhancers at the points right here, and I had went out in the pool, and underneath those points, after I took those patches off, underneath the patches, my skin was a little red, almost kind of like a little baby sunburn. And that was it. And that was one time. I've never had it happen again. And I've also never found anybody else that it happened to with the sun. So it wasn't X39 or any other patch. It was just the energy enhancer. I don't know if it was because I hadn't been out in the sun in a while, and I have no idea, honestly. And I never asked David about that. But as far as, is it too much? No, because I'm in the sun all the time, and I have patches on my feet. I have my patch on the back of the neck. I do go to the beach. We do boat as well. And we all have our patches on, and it doesn't have any adverse effect or negative effect as far as light goes or anything like that to our skin. So that's the only thing I've personally had was one time. And like I said, it may just be because it was, just I was out in the sun for one of the first times in the pool. So with it on.
And so then also when he invented the patch, and we have a 12-hour period that we're gonna use it, because obviously you stated that it's gonna break down, right?
The lattice, yes.
So in those next 12 hours of the day, our body is kind of still working on the production, right?
It's
But then
repairing
what happens?
and regenerating and restoring and rejuvenating when we take the patch off. So when we have it on, it's activating, it's elevating, it's mobilizing, it's signaling our body to upregulate the genes, increase collagen, increase GHKCU. And so we take it off to give our body a break, our light, right? The low level infrared light that we emit. And that it's okay if your body heat is lower than 98.8. It's okay if you don't have high energy or frequency in your body. We all emit a low level infrared light. And that little small amount is what is signaling the patch very slowly all day long through that 12-hour period.
But we can go breaks without wearing it, or, you know, like what happens if we miss it for 4 or 5 days or whatever the case may be?
You just turn into a pumpkin. If you forget,
Yeah.
you go on vacation, you leave your patches at home, just start patching again when you get back. Is it recommended on a daily basis or on a weekly basis to take breaks? No, it's recommended to use it day after day, week after week, month after month. Based on the studies, we can see the improvement because of the consistency in using it without stopping.
Yeah.
You're not
And-
going to get the benefits if you're on one day and off the next, or on 3 and off 4. Your body needs that daily communication with this to continue to increase your stem cells, so they're staying activated and mobilized inside of your body. And then your body, when it, like I said, when it regenerates, right? The repair you have up until the point that you stop using it is the repair that you have. And from that point, your body just starts that aging process again.
Okay. Because sometimes, like, I'm a chiropractor, and then sometimes after, you know, consistently adjusting somebody and getting him to a spot where their adjustment can hold per se, right? Because we retrained everything to understand the body's best point for them. Their 100% might not be the same as my 100%, but that may be their best point for them.
Yes.
Can we get to some point like that with a patch,
Yeah.
where we just, hey, we've produced enough stem cell, or we've stimulated enough stem cell production that maybe the body may start to stimulate its own, like, just kind of like, I don't know, like kickstart it, or say, hey, we train the muscle to work in this specific function. And I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly. Like, if your bicep isn't functioning correctly and we get it to function and we keep it functioning for a long time, it goes,
Right.
okay, this is how I'm supposed to function correctly.
Yes.
But it's like a use it or lose it kind of a thing, you know?
No.
So if we produce our
Yeah.
stem cell and get it producing, is our body going to keep kind of doing that? Or are we still going to need the activation from the patch itself?
That's a great question. And so when your body produces more of its own stem cells, okay, and mobilizes those stem cells and has those active circulating in your bloodstream, which we can see from clinical studies, those stem cells are there. If you stop patching tomorrow, they don't just disappear. Okay, so they're there, they're activated, they're mobilized, they're doing what is needed in your body. And they'll do that up until that point. Say you stop using the patch, that aging process or that decline, that cell death starts happening again, just as it normally would in that aging progression. So it's just like if you work out in the gym and you build all these muscles and things looks fantastic, the day that you stop going to the gym, it doesn't just all look horrible again. It's a progression over time of not using that muscle. And so will you get to the point again where your body's not activating or mobilizing those stem cells? Well, yeah, you're not asking it to. It's just like going to the gym. You're not asking those muscles to stay there, right? And so, like I said, for me, this is definitely looking at longevity and vitality and prevention. And instead of going to get stem cell injections at 30 grand twice a year, I can use this for a couple dollars a day every day and keep my body young and youthful that way.
And
Along with healthy lifestyle. But I do have to, okay, so hang on one second. I have another Zoom right now. So I'm happy to open this up. I'm going to open this up because I have 50 people waiting in the waiting room. So if you have other questions, you're going to have to hang on and let me go through this whole thing again, or you can pop off. but I do have to stop the recording on this so I can let them in and get started, okay? So you can just hang
Not a
on.
problem.
If you have questions, you can hang on, okay?
Yeah, thank you guys for being on the call. We'll do
Yes,
this again
thank
next
you.
week as well.
Yeah, you guys can pop off if you want to, or you can stay on, but I'm gonna run through the whole thing again for an hour.